Unless you were living under a rock during college football season, there's a good chance you've heard the name Joe Burrow at least a few times. Burrow has completely taken the nation by storm this year, capping off arguably one of the greatest seasons ever and claiming LSU's fourth national championship. Burrow has silenced all doubters this year, leading LSU to a perfect 15-0 record, including a convincing 42-25 win against Clemson in the championship. His stellar season allowed him to become the first ever LSU quarterback to win the Heisman Trophy. However, unless you're an avid fan of LSU, you probably haven't heard much of the once third-string quarterback until recently. So, where did Joe Burrow come from, and who were the quarterbacks that were recruited ahead of him? Joe Burrow was born in 1996 in Ames, Iowa, and is the son of the former NFL player, CFL star, and NCAA coach, Jimmy Burrow. He played high school ball at Athens High School in Ohio and led his school to their first ever 7 playoff victories. Along the way, he won the Mr. Ohio Football Award. He came out of high school as the 294th best player in the 2015 recruiting class, according to 24/7 Sports. Burrow committed to The Ohio State University, with other offers coming from Minnesota, Maryland, Virginia Tech, and Iowa State, amongst others. The beginning of Burrow's collegiate career was fairly dry, as he redshirted his freshman season and was back up to JT Barrett coming into his redshirt freshman year. He ended that season appearing in just 5 games, throwing for 226 yards and 2 touchdowns. As a redshirt sophomore, Burrow suffered a head injury before the season and wound up behind Barrett and newcomer Dwayne Haskins on the depth chart. Once again, he only appeared in 5 games and attempted just 11 passes all season. Realizing Haskins was going to be the starter going into the 2018 season, Burrow transferred to LSU, where he was named the starting QB as a redshirt junior. Burrow led the Tigers to a 10-3 record, their best record since 2013, which landed them number 6 in the final AP poll. This included a Fiesta Bowl victory over UCF, where Burrow won MVP honors. For the season, Burrow threw 2,894 yards, ran for 399 more, and totaled 23 touchdowns while just throwing 5 interceptions. His 3,293 yards of total offense ranked second in school history. After a fantastic year with new offensive coordinator Steve Ensminger, LSU was poised for another big season with their revamped offensive scheme and with Burrow at the helm. 2019 had proved to be just that, as Burrow and the Tigers had a championship season fronted by one of the all-time great offenses in college football history. During this stretch, Burrow has been nothing short of unbelievable. Through 15 games, he's compiled 6,056 yards and threw for 60 touchdowns compared to just 6 interceptions. He has broken countless records, including most touchdown passes in a season with 60, most touchdowns responsible for a season in 65, and all-time best passer rating with 202. While Burrow looks well on his way to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft, where are the other quarterbacks recruited before him? 24/7 Sports ranks quarterback recruits according to their playstyle. Burrow was ranked as the 8th best dual threat quarterback, so today we'll only be looking at the dual threats ranked higher than him. Notable pro-style quarterbacks in the class include Josh Rosen and NFL rookie Drew Lock. The 7th rated dual threat quarterback in the 2015 class was Shariron Jones out of Moreno Valley, California. Jones was the 247th best player, 33 ahead of Burrow, and originally committed to Florida. However, once Will Muschamp left the Gators, Jones decommitted. He eventually chose Tennessee over schools like UCF and Ole Miss. In 2 years as a volunteer, Jones only attempted 1 pass, so he transferred to New Mexico to seek more playing time. After an injury to New Mexico's starting QB, Jones started the last 11 games of the season, passing for 1,417 yards with a 13-12 touchdown to interception ratio. His poor stats reflected in the team's record as they finished the season 3-9. If you thought it couldn't get much worse for Jones, you were wrong. In 2019, Jones played 5 games, throwing for 500 yards with an abysmal 2 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He also had 204 rushing yards. On October 22nd, Jones was suspended indefinitely from the team. It was later revealed that Jones indecently exposed himself to a woman in a campus parking lot. For the time being, it seems like Jones' football career is over. Juwan Jennings was the 6th-ranked dual-threat quarterback coming out of the 2015 class. He was the 164th overall player in the nation and ended up choosing Tennessee over other big-name schools such as Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State, and Penn State. He compiled 149 yards in 10 games his first season with the Volunteers. He had a breakout campaign his sophomore season, playing in all 13 games and catching 7 touchdowns to go along with 580 yards receiving. Jennings came into his junior season as Tennessee's top wideout option, but suffered a wrist injury in the first game of the season and was sidelined for the rest of the year. Towards the end of the season, Jennings posted a video on Instagram criticizing members of the former coaching staff. This led to his dismissal from the football program by the interim head coach. However, Jennings was reinstated before the 2018 season when Jeremy Pruitt was hired as the Volunteers' new head coach. He had a disappointing season in his return, playing in 11 games and compiling 438 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. 2019 was a different story, as Jennings has lived up to his recruitment status. In 13 games, he scored 8 touchdowns and amassed 1,020 scrimmage yards. His prolific season put him on the watch list for the Biletnikoff Award, which goes to college football's best pass catcher. As long as Jennings doesn't get into more trouble, he should hear his name called in April. The first NFL player on the list is Sam Darnold. Darnold, the 148th best player nationally, took his talents to Southern Cal after playing high school ball in San Clemente. Darnold was actually recruited by USC's defensive coordinator, who originally wanted to play linebacker for the school. Darnold wisely declined and opted to redshirt his freshman season as he was stuck behind Cody Kessler and Max Brown on the depth chart. Darnold came into his redshirt freshman season as the backup to Max Brown. However, after a 1-2 start to the year, the Trojans benched Brown in favor of Darnold. He led them to 9 consecutive victories to end the season, including a thrilling win over Penn State in the Rose Bowl. Darnold finished the season with 3,086 passing yards, 250 rushing yards, 31 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. His heroics earned him a spot on the Freshman All-America team, as well as the Archie Griffey Award, which goes to college football's most valuable player to their team. No freshman had previously won this award. Coming into his sophomore season, Darnold was among the early favorites to win the Heisman Trophy. Although he did not quite live up to that hype, he still put together a solid season and led the Trojans to a Pac-12 conference title. He finished the year with 4,143 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. After just 2 years in college, Darnold declared for the NFL Draft. He was selected 3rd overall by the New York Jets, after Baker Mayfield and Saquon Barkley. He was named the Jets' Week 1 starter for a matchup against the Lions on Monday Night Football. Although Darnold's first career pass went for a pick-6, he was able to righten the ship. Darnold would miss 3 games with a foot injury later in the season and finished with an unimpressive 2,865 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Through 13 starts in the 2019 season, Darnold hasn't lived up to the hype of a 3rd overall pick, throwing for 3,024 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. While the improvement is certainly there, Sam Darnold may need to call up the Ghostbusters if he wants to cement his status as the Jets' franchise quarterback. The 4th-ranked dual-threat quarterback in the 2015 class was Travis Johnson. Out of Anaheim, California, Johnson committed to the University of Oregon. With Heisman winner Marcus Mariota graduating, Johnson had hopes of competing with new transfer Vernon Adams for the starting role. However, Johnson suffered an early season foot injury that hampered his development. He was redshirted his freshman season. In 2016, Johnson was once again poised to compete for the starting job. Although he had a decent spring game, he was beat out for the job by Dakota Prukop, who was eventually overtaken by true freshman Justin Herbert. With a true freshman at the helm, Johnson decided to transfer going into his redshirt sophomore season. He ended up at FCS level Montana State. Johnson once again suffered a foot injury by slipping on ice, hampering his shot at the starting quarterback role. Before the season, he was turned into a wide receiver by the coaching staff, a move Johnson was not happy about. Regardless, Johnson made 28 receptions for 319 yards and 1 touchdown in the 2018 season. He also added 199 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns on 36 attempts. 2019 was a much more fruitful year for Johnson, as he accumulated 580 receiving yards, 527 rushing yards, and 9 total touchdowns, all while his team marched on to the FCS semifinals. While Johnson wasn't the star QB of a D1 team like he had hoped, he has cut out a nice role for himself and is making the best of his situation. Number 3 on the list was Brandon Wimbush out of Jersey City, New Jersey. Wimbush was the number 46 player nationally and committed to Notre Dame. He appeared in 2 games his freshman season as a backup to Deshaun Kaiser. In 2016, he decided to redshirt and wait for Kaiser to graduate. With Kaiser gone to the NFL, Wimbush took over Notre Dame's starting quarterback role in 2017. Wimbush had a solid season, passing for 1,870 yards and 16 touchdowns while throwing just 6 interceptions. He also gained 804 yards on the ground with an impressive 14 rushing touchdowns. He led the Irish to a 9-3 record and a Citrus Bowl appearance against number 17 LSU. However, the struggling Wimbush was relieved mid-game by Ian Book, who led the Irish to victory. Notre Dame came into the 2018 season ranked 12th in the nation with Wimbush still at the helm of the offense. Wimbush started the first 3 games for the Irish, leading them to a 3-0 record, including a win versus rival Michigan. Although the team was getting wins, Wimbush's 4-6 touchdown to interception ratio and 52% completion percentage were not enough to keep him on the field. He was once again benched in favor of Book, who led the Irish to an undefeated season in a meeting with Clemson in the college football playoff, which they lost. Sensing his playing time at Notre Dame was over, Wimbush transferred to UCF for the 2019 season. He appeared in only 5 games for the Knights, attempting 24 passes for 167 yards. After a promising start to his career, Wimbush's playing days seemed to be over. The second-ranked dual-threat quarterback in the 2015 class is also the second NFL QB on the list. Jarrett Stidham, the number 38 ranked player nationally, originally committed to Texas Tech, but later opened his recruiting back up and wound up at Baylor. He started the 2015 season as the backup to Seth Russell, but still appeared in the team's first 7 games. In their 7th game, Russell suffered a season-ending neck injury. Stidham took over as the starter and started just 3 games before he himself had a season-ending ankle injury. Over 10 games, Stidham passed for 1,265 yards, had a 12-2 touchdown-to-interception ratio, and a passer rating of 199. After the season, many coaches on the Baylor staff were fired due to a sexual abuse scandal. This, paired with his frustration of still being a backup, led Stidham to transfer. He took an interesting route, transferring to McLennan Community College, where he took a semester off football. He then transferred to Auburn, where he was named the starting quarterback for the 2017 season. Stidham led the Tigers to a 10-4 record, including wins over top-ranked Alabama and Georgia. He finished the season with 3,158 passing yards and threw 18 touchdowns compared to 6 interceptions. 2019 wasn't as successful for Stidham or the Tigers, but the QB still put up solid numbers. In 13 games, he threw for 2,794 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. Stidham decided to forego his senior season and declared for the NFL draft. He was selected in the 4th round by the New England Patriots. Stidham won the backup role as the Patriots released longtime backup Brian Hoyer after training camp. Stidham appeared in just 3 games for the Patriots in 2019, only attempting 4 passes, one of which resulted in a pick 6 for Jet safety Jamal Adams. With Tom Brady's future in New England a big question mark, could Stidham be the next New England franchise quarterback? Last but not least, the number 1 dual-threat quarterback in the 2015 class was Kyler Murray. Murray, the only 5-star recruit on the list, never lost a game as a starter in high school and came into the recruiting season as the 34th overall prospect. Murray, a 2-sport athlete, committed to Texas A&M to play both college football and baseball. As a true freshman, he was in a battle for the starting quarterback role with Kyle Allen. Murray appeared in 8 games, starting 2 of them. He ended his freshman year with 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 686 passing yards. He also added 335 rushing yards. After the season, Murray announced that he would transfer to the University of Oklahoma. After sitting out the 2016 season due to transfer eligibility, he came into the 2017 season as the backup to Baker Mayfield. Once again, Murray only really entered the game during garbage time, throwing just 21 passes all season. With Mayfield graduating, Murray had the opportunity to become the Sooners' starting quarterback going into the 2018 season. Needless to say, he took advantage of this opportunity and never looked back. In his first full season as a starting quarterback, Murray passed for 4,361 yards, rushed for 1,000 more, and totaled 54 touchdowns. He led the Sooners to a college football playoff appearance against Alabama, a game in which they fell short 45-34. Murray was an All-American and won the Heisman Trophy. Although Murray seemed set on playing football, he was selected 9th overall by the Oakland A's in the 2018 MLB draft. He signed a contract with the A's and said he would report to spring training camp for the 2019 season. However, after his Heisman-winning season in 2018, Murray entered the NFL draft, where he was selected 1st overall by the Arizona Cardinals. This made Murray the first player to ever be selected in the first round of both the MLB and NFL draft. For the time being, Murray seems to have made the right choice by sticking with football. He had an excellent rookie season, earning Offensive Rookie of the Year honors. Murray ended the season with 3,722 passing yards, 544 more on the ground, 24 total touchdowns, and just 12 interceptions. He set several Cardinals rookie records, including most passing yards, most completions, highest passer rating, and most passing touchdowns. Kyler Murray is looking like a franchise QB for the Cardinals. After researching all these players, I thought it would be interesting to re-rank the 8 players on the list. In the number 8 spot, I have Travis Johnson. While he has carved out a nice role for himself, he has never played a snap at the FBS level. Oh yeah, and he's never actually played quarterback in college. Coming in at the number 7 spot, I have Shararon Jones. Who knows where his career would be if Will Muschamp never left Florida, but Jones's poor play on the field versus weak competition, plus his off-field issues are not a good look. He beats out Johnson because he actually played quarterback and was able to play at the FBS level, although his stats aren't great. Brandon Wimbush is my number 6 QB on the new list. Wimbush had one pretty decent season as a starter, but could never hold on to his role due to inconsistency. His stats are by no means bad, and maybe if the coaching staff had more faith in him, he could be on his way to the NFL. For now, however, it looks like Wimbush's playing days are over. Coming in at number 5 is Juwan Jennings. I know I docked Travis Johnson for never playing QB at the college level, but Jennings is a legit receiver. Although he has some character issues, he has been called the most uniquely talented wide receiver in the draft class. He really boosted his stock during his senior season and should be on an NFL team come training camp. Number 4 on the list is Jarrett Stidham. Stidham had a solid college career, good enough to be drafted 133rd overall. It remains to be seen if he can perform as a starter in the NFL, but for now he can be considered a solid backup option. The top 3 is where it gets interesting. After a lot of debate with myself, I decided to insert Joe Burrow into the number 3 spot. While this may seem crazy, Burrow is yet to play an NFL snap. Yes, he had one of the most ridiculous college seasons of all time. Part of this is due to the LSU system, and he is likely headed to a rough situation in Cincinnati. I think Burrow is a very talented player with loads of potential. However, it remains to be seen if his skill set will transfer to the NFL. If John Ross can stay healthy and a healthy A.J. Green returns, Burrow should have plenty of pieces around it to be successful, with Tyler Boyd and Joe Mixon also on the roster. Another roadblock for Burrow could be the Bengals coaching staff. Hopefully they don't ruin his career. Number 2 is Sam Darnold. Darnold has put together a couple decent seasons, but he is definitely improving. If he is able to stay healthy and the Jets can get some pieces around him, he should take big strides. However, I could easily see Burrow surpassing Darnold on this list within just one season. That leaves Kyler Murray as the number 1 QB, right where he started. Murray is showing no signs of slowing down, and as the Cardinals roster gets better, so should Murray. Already having Offensive Rookie of the Year honors under his belt, Murray should be going to the 2020 season with confidence and looking to build on a stellar first season. What do you think of my rankings? How would you rank these 8 players yourself? Comment below where you think I went wrong and why. Also, let me know which players past I should talk about next. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with all my new videos. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.